So today to start, I think, well, actually, I'm here with Lemon, one of our Overwatch 6v6 developers. I figure we go through a bunch of the suggestions and feedback area. I got English. Jesus Christ, I shouldn't multitask while I'm trying to do things. We're gonna go through the feedback section and take a look at some people's comments and suggestions and see what, of course, one of the developers here thinks about them. And I'll give my feedback because there's been a lot of changes, been a lot of things up in the air at the moment for the 6v6 game mode, and a lot of new people, a whole bunch of new people. We have actually had a few other content creators make videos about the 6v6 Discord, and it has been bringing in, well, just new groups and new opinions and do all sorts of stuff. I will ask Lemon, and I'm going to point this out as one of the funniest things that I've heard people say about our 6v6 game mode. I'm curious of your opinion on this. This person was like, you know what? We should revert the health changes to all the characters. What do you think about that?
Oh, you mean like the most recent change with like the fun?
No, like do 6v6 but with 250 health squishies.
Huh? Who said that?
I'm not gonna point out names. We're not here to point fingers and
okay,
grill
that's
people.
fair. I did not think that someone thought that. Why?
But well, they had just come in from 5v5. They had not played much 6v6 already, and I believe potentially they haven't played that much Overwatch with the 200L squishies, anyways.
Okay. I guess it's kind of like. I guess it's like kind of the reverse of what you're trying to experience, where you like lower a lot of the tank HP, just make everyone else more HP, as another way to make it balanced. But
possibly, actually, yeah, that's probably a way to like.
That's probably like it kind of like the whole point of lowering all the HP values is to like have the one shots still work. So I guess if you really hate one shots,
I want to highlight something, and you mentioned this to me quite a bit earlier. It's about being punished for mistakes, right?
Yes,
and people get
very important.
With the extra health, people don't get immediately punished for the mistakes. You still get punished for some stuff, but it gives you an extra half of a second to like respond to whatever's hitting you, and it gives you the opportunity to go oops and then run away, right? Instead of yes, that was the one-way play that.
Because like I think the thing about like having like higher health pools, like if something that's meant to punish you doesn't kill you, it goes from like the person gets killed to there has to be like a some competition between like the supports and the DPS to keep that person from dying or being alive.
Yeah.
And like if that constantly happens instead of just things dying, then the fights take a lot longer to like happen.
They feel a lot scrappier. And what I don't like, I'll point out, about paladins is that it turns them into like standing and staring and just whipping cooldowns back and forth at each other. Instead of like the tight FPS mechanics where you step around a corner, you pressure someone and you win or you lose. And then it goes to the next fight, right? Like I feel like that's a much better, faster gameplay cycle, and more FPS focused gameplay is more fun. But it feels like that's the direction too. I'm not speaking for Toasty, but that Toasty likes also. So for those who are curious about that kind of stuff, that's probably the way to go. I see some people slowly lurking in here too. The view counts slowly going up, so we'll try not to do anything too interesting. Bird, 1 second.
Your bird's very loud.
Can you stop screaming at me? Thank you. Okay, we're good. They're not getting attention, so when they sit around for a little bit, they get a little crazy.
Yeah.
If it gets too bad, just tell me, and I'll move them outside. I might actually have to, or move them into a different room. Okay, let's go take a peek through the actual feedback section. So obviously, make Lucio sound wave knock back opponents away from their Wi-Fi router, so they automatically disconnect from the game.
Yeah.
That can be patched in. I think that's something we could build. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know if I can move people in real life, but I mean,
Okay. Okay. Well,
I'll have to check that out.
that's a to
Like, you
be.
can kick someone from the server or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's the new patch notes.
Like,
Okay.
I'd have to learn how to have like a client disconnect instead of crashing the whole server.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you might be able to force a crash with some like client side calls,
And
or
I think it definitely helps Lucio.
just spawn thousands of particle effects on someone or something.
Like, that would crash server though. So you gotta find a way to put it on specifically the client. That's the hard part.
Exactly, exactly. Welcome
Yeah.
in Nagi. Nagi's Chippy. He's our terrifying Widow player who doesn't play Widow. How you doing today, man?
Hmm.
We're gonna be doing scraps in just a small bit. Well, in about 2 hours from now, Lemon and I were to be chatting. Maybe we'll put together some fun scrims and even try out the 5v6 thing early for pre-fights. So you are totally welcome in Nagi. If you want to hang out in the green room, you're welcome to. As soon as we get started on something, then we'll drag you in there. I'm gonna pick the real response here. We'll try not to go through all the meme comments. But reduce Lucio knockback. What do you like? That's from Sky.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like in the context of like it got nerfed, so it is about to the level it was before it got buffed in season 9.
Okay.
And I feel like at that level in a 6v6 environment, either it's not going to affect you too much to the point where it needs to be nerfed, and also you can block it with 2 tanks. So I don't know if that's like, I don't think Lucio is too annoying with the current build.
Yeah,
like,
we're not.
like if you want to punish someone, then and you reduce knockback. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
how I feel about that.
I don't think it's too much of an issue in some ways. Lady of the Shadows, Lady Debbie, welcome in, welcome in. Oh my God, these birds. Can you guys chill? I might
Very
put them
loud birds.
Yes, I might put them. I'm probably if they keep doing that, I'm gonna approve them. Welcome in, Lady Debbie. How you doing today? I know you don't play Overwatch, but welcome. We're just yapping right now about a bunch of Overwatch changes and stuff like that. But welcome anyways. Appreciate you coming by. But yeah, I don't think Lucio is super strong. Okay, birds. I am gonna have to move them out. Give me 2. Well, we'll in a few seconds. We'll go do it. Less than a week ago, you get your name back. Oh, you get to change your name back and see. Okay, our Twitch. Awesome. But yeah, no, Lucio hasn't been a big problem. Hydro, welcome in. Jeez, how you doing today? Thank you so much for the resub. 10 months. It's been a while, man. It's been so long actually now. Okay, 1 second. We're gonna go move these birds. They're going a little bit crazy at the moment.
All right.
Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Oh, text to speech. My text to speech is turned off, so I'll do it for you. Woo! Okay, I'm back in a second.
Huh?
All right, birds. All right. Yep. Into your cage. Come on. I need you to go in. No. Oh, please don't. Please don't. Come here. Whack. I know. Come on. In your cage. No, please. Please. Come on. We're in the middle of something here. Can you just be a good bird? Can you get in your cage? Go on. Yep. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Beautiful. Whack. All right. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right.
Normally I don't mind my co-hosts, but they're a little crazy today. Yeah, no, Lucio, not a problem, I don't think. I actually enjoy the big knockback. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, Going up the list, we got we got a new playtester role. Um, Debbie asks, "Your kid wants to know how tall I am. I am 5'11". I'm the real 5'11", not like the 5'10s that say that they're 5'11", to
Mm.
make them sound like they're 6 foot. But let's take a peek. Only thing I want to know, it looks like the Kiri Swift step is coming up again. What are your thoughts on that? Like reducing the range. I
Yeah, yeah. I don't like the range change, but what I'm assuming is this guy isn't aware of the fact that we do have the option to have LOSTP.
Yeah, I think
I mean, I
that
could maybe respond to it and bring that
you're
up,
taller than
but
seven
I'm not
foot.
sure
That'd
if
be
I want to.
huge.
Like, I've already
Crazy.
made like paragraphs about the changes.
I
I don't
have
want to do that again.
I have seen it. You were very passionate
Yes,
about Kiriko line of sight.
I feel like LOSTP and like lower cones a little bit. I think that'd be balanced, but like I don't
I'm
know. I don't think Toasty's gonna do it at this point. I mean, it's kind of I don't know.
I think line of sight would be better than the range. The range would just
Yes.
feel a little weird, but it's definitely an option because it does feel still very strong. Especially too, I want to point out, it feels exceptionally strong with the two tanks. Like not
Yes, it
just
does because you have more options.
yeah yeah. Uh,
Mm.
my network here is messing up. What's going on with my camera? We'll live with my camera being screwy for now. Yeah. Toasty just put yes, but there's no chance.
Someone's asking about Mayfreeze.
May freeze. Can y'all add May freeze? This might help her because you never see May. She had it in Overwatch 1 for a reason. It would help with dive comms and annoying heroes. May is a useless pick, but I understand. Toasty says yes, but there's no chance we'll ever decide to do that. Sometimes it's less about viability and balance of the game, more about fun and interactivity of the game. The freeze effect is not fun to play against. For that reason alone, it won't be returning. What are your thoughts on that?
All right. So like, I guess I do kind of agree with Tusk, but like, I don't think May's that weak, to be honest. Like, the thing about May is that May's a must pick in brawl comps if you want to play the best you can. So I feel like, I don't know. I mean, and the big thing with May and other projectile characters is that like the lower breakpoints are really powerful. It's like even in like a dive comp, you can one shot Tracer. I feel like that's pretty important.
I do too. Like something like I really like the freeze to a certain extent. I'm not gonna go off on the whole rant, but
Yeah,
I'll
the,
hear
the
your
the whole CC thing. I mean, if
because
in a world, even in a world where you don't have freeze, I feel like you're still good enough as a character. Because
yeah
like you can like wall for example, like it does this very similarly. It, like stops the player from. It isolates the player. I feel like
yes
you don't need freeze to isolate a player as May.
that is yeah.
So
So I think there's some world where a freeze and like the headshot combo is something that could be used in the game, kind of like we flashbang. They're very similar. Flashbang and then shooting them ahead is a very similar kind of like
yeah,
back and forth. And there is the argument that being frozen or being stunned isn't actually fun. Saving somebody who is frozen or stunned is fun. So it's not fun for the individual getting hit, but it's more fun for the team to react to something like that. But something Lemon brought up, which is really important, is the wall still runs as the freeze feature, right? Like it exists in the same space, and to have a character that has like a freeze and a freeze, like two, like a wall, right? It it
like
it's
yeah.
very frustrating to play against. Having
Like
one of them isn't so bad, but having two, three is yeah.
like even if May's weak, I think it would make more sense to me buffer in some other way that would make her better in other comps. Like I mean, I know like the importance of like characters having a niche,
Yeah.
especially in 6v6, but May specifically is like the only real other option as for like a flex DPS in a brawl comp at like if you're trying to play your best. It's May and sometimes Symmetra. So like because the TP is really good for like mobility. But other than that, for like the flex DPS role, it's kind of just May. So if you wanted to buff May, it had to be something like that would help in like the general situations, but I'm not sure. I can't really say what would have to be done, but I don't feel like May's weak anyway. So
Giving her more options because in her niche right now, she's like very.
yeah, May is already pretty much a must pick for her niche.
Yeah,
Wall was nerfed, I would say, but I don't think that was enough to stop just like synergize from brawl comp to kill a target.
yeah. Especially there's some parts of the map where May is
Because like
just so strong.
even for a moment of wall being up, you could kill someone. Like in a brawl comp, maybe like Orion charges or Ram punches through whatever defense they have after they're walled.
Like,
Yeah, all right.
I will point something out too. We'll move on to the next thing here. But it depends on the elo also. I've noticed lower elos don't understand and when I say lower, I mean like diamond and below. Okay, don't fully understand the impact the wall has for the fight. Like you're much more independent at those ranks because it's like it's up to you to really make a lot of the plays, and so people play a lot more independently. But once you start playing with people that are really really good, and even as like a platinum diamond player myself, even when I play games with like the GMs in our game, like the power that May gets is not in her primary and not in even in her freeze. It wouldn't do anything at all to change it. It's all about the wall. It's like there's no change in that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look and see what the older comments are. One sec. The Swiss Def range we looked at. Someone else commenting about the Mauga damage. I didn't know much about that. Can you update me on what we do with the Mauga damage?
I think Toasty bumped it up slightly to account for the passive not working properly.
Okay.
I guess one thing I'd say about Maga's power in general is just like I don't completely understand why Maga would be considered good right now given the current state of Diva. Because I feel like Diva, like the DM hard counters him trying to like engage on someone.
Okay.
It stops him from healing. So like a lot of times when I see a Mog, I go Diva to counter him, and then what happens is that he goes for a play with the shout, and then I just DM him, and then we just kill him because he's not getting healed, he's not doing any damage, he's not pressuring the other tank. I kind of feel like
yeah, there's a lot that counters Mauga right now.
And I mean, I feel like if you're bad at Diva, then what happens is that you lose your armor pool, and then he bursts you because you're out of DM. Like I think like the thing like Diva does counter Maga, but like if you don't play well, it's kind of like how like if you face tank, you're gonna die anyway.
I think
like,
even
Diva
like
has
Sigma,
the
dude.
big hitbox, yeah.
Sigma
also is a decent counter to
totally
Maga.
counters him, yeah. Zarya is actually not that bad too, right? With the like,
yeah, it's a little more iffy because how punishable Zarya is for the bubble. So like if you just burst the bubble, then Zarya's kind of messed up if the other tank isn't defending.
But because there's two tanks, it's not so dependent on that one engagement, right? Like
I would say I don't consider Zarya a counter to Maga.
Not a counter, but does very well in like the composition that you're trying to put together against it.
Honestly, if Maga was really good, I think that the mirror would be Maga Sig, just because you need Sig to counter the other Maga.
Yeah.
And like, if anything, just from like seeing the higher ranked players play, given they were playing a lot of like Doom Maga, it could be argued that Maga doesn't need an off tank currently.
Could be.
I think.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need a peel tank, a dedicated peel tank, because he has enough tools just from being a 5v5 tank.
So he could just be an independent main tank in a way, right?
Yes.
And then let the other tank kind of do its own thing.
Pressure, like manually, like for example, like a ball making pressure could help some tanks that don't need the direct peel.
Like we are struggling, yeah. So I think that's a really important one too, because we have seen like Mauga Hog, and Mauga Hog is not that bad, right? Like there's just so much damage output and so much forward pressure that the moment you start looking at the Mauga, the Hog hooks you from a different angle. The moment you start looking at the Hog, you get your head pelted by Mauga shots, right? It's maybe
I'm not personally too confident in that comp, but I would say that like if for example you have one person that decides to actually peel, like a diva or something, and you can't really deal with both at once.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's the comp. I'm just saying it still has power, right? It's still got.
Yeah, like every comp has some sort of way to work.
But he could be he can be like the main tank. He's the main tank in that matchup, right? And still works as kind of the main tank. All right, yeah. So once we get that fixed, do we know what's going on with that directly? Is that something that we can?
I'm not sure what Toasty has planned for Maga,
Okay.
but I'm assuming I already have a fix for the passive. It's gonna be a little bit till it gets added since it's only gonna be in like a testing build.
Yeah.
But when that adds back, I think he'll just put it back to 3.5.
Okay.
Because I know like some people talked about like actually buffing his damage a bit because of the crit multiplier really messing him up.
Yeah, that really did. But I haven't seen too much of him, so that.
Plus, like if the character like Queen and Maga, I don't really like Queen being powerful. What I would say is that like Maga and Queen get kind of messed up by armor specifically
Okay.
because their passives rely on dealing damage, which is like over time, which gets reduced by 50% by the armor, and then also their main weapon also gets reduced by the armor by 50%. So like,
What does
yeah,
the burn? No, burn doesn't ignore it, does it? It still gets impacted, right?
yeah, burn does get reduced. So
Oh
does
my
the
god!
Queen blade.
Yikes!
So yeah.
Really big yikes. Yeah, I guess that's why we haven't been seeing much of them, anyways. I was gonna
Yeah,
say I
I
haven't.
mean, I would not count what people decide to play in the casual lobbies as a way to decide the meta.
Well,
Yeah,
it's more of a point of like that's why we haven't seen it to test it at all. It's just people just like kind of whatever. We'll go play what they want to
yeah,
play instead of playing what's most powerful, or what's the most
because I know
impactful.
that's probably why Toasty. I know it's why Toasty buffed the damage of Queen just now
Yeah.
because he doesn't feel he feels like Queen should be better at like killing a tank or something.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
It's only a slight change, so I'm not too worried about it, but it might mess up interactions with squishies. I think.
Yeah. Queen takes a lot of damage from squishies, so I don't think it'll be too much of a problem.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Let's do another thing. What else do we have? More talking about Mauga, just the basic stuff.
Another thing about Kiri.
Another thing about Kiri, yeah, we can skip by that. Shields, the Sigma changes.
Yes, yeah, I know.
What do you
Yeah,
think? You're a Sigma player.
I do think that like the shields are like an example of something that doesn't really need.
Okay.
Like a big reason, I know Toast doesn't like initialize the idea of like removing the overhealth,
Yeah.
but it's just like Sig is a character that has a lot of like free stuff for no reason. That just results in him being spread too thin when it comes to like power level. It's like, for example, like this might not be represented now since when Toasty buffed back all the tanks, he did not buff Sigma or Orisa, which I know people don't like those characters, but that's fine. Like
Okay.
initially, I would say is that when we took away the overhealth, he was given 50 more shields. So like to keep his
Okay.
sustainability the same as it normally is with overhealth, but just over time. So it just trades him getting the burst, which helps him be more consistent and better to interact with.
Like as much as it feels bad, I do totally agree. Like there's no reason for Sigma to have tankiness,
Like
right?
Sig's weakness is that he's less tanky than other tanks once you get past his
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah.
So him having like a third layer is kind of I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. It feels like you.
And I would say I do like Sig having more shields than he like. I guess he has a lot of shields now, but back in Overwatch 1 he only had like 100. I like him having more shields because it rewards him for poking and not taking damage. And, like using his abilities, and the overhealth does not do that.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's much to be changed there on Sigma. It seems like he's in a good
Yeah.
place at the moment. I will point out, and we've mentioned it before, that a lot of players are still learning how to
Yes, and
play.
yeah, I don't yeah I'm kind of worried because like he's like Tulsa talked about like once people get used to the synergies, but I'm not sure that's gonna happen if tanks stay as powerful as they are. I mean, maybe once we get like a comp system set up, we ever decide to do something like that, or like people like make groups to be more competitive,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then that would help in like forcing it because even if the tanks are powerful, they're still more powerful when they synergize.
Yeah, and we're still not see like the impact is compounded by them synergizing, and they're
Like
not fully synergizing right now. So
Like, especially if we're going to continue like getting more and more people joining, then that's going to mean there's going to be more new people that are suddenly complaining about the tanks being killable. So I'm worried that might just constantly come back up every time we try to mess with tanks.
It will be really biased. I'm a fan of even though I don't like what Blizzard's done in some ways, I'm actually a fan of their type of design, and we should maybe well, Toshi's not here, and I don't want to give plans ahead of whatever he wants to do. But they make large changes with like long, not I don't want to say like with lots of work with future thought in mind, but they balance for like a longer objective, and they kind of just say fuck you to all the responses to it, and then just let the community play and get used to what's there. So like I think we should kind of do that, right? Where it's like just hard.
I'm not entirely convinced that it's that. I'm not entirely convinced, just based off their balance, that they think that much. But I do think we should consider doing that.
Like, well, no, I wouldn't say they're making those changes for balance. They're just more of like, fuck you. We know that this audience is gonna play the game if we do this, and so who cares what the existing people? But but it's not the same intent that we would be doing it as. It's just like we think the game is much more healthy in this environment, and then let's do balance for it right now as is, and then let people figure out the balance around that instead of trying to make it recreate the feel of something else or the sustainability of something else, and then going backwards. But we'll have to see where it goes. It's either or.
Well, I mean, like even if I have problems with like specifically this patch, it's really hard to make the balance worse than what currently is. So
yeah,
I think I'm not leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, digging through here, we got Hammond ult, changing the Hammond ult damage.
It is currently 130 already.
Is currently 130. Okay, so that's.
So I think I just responded with the compendium.
Okay.
So he probably
realized. Look at? Dang, Hanzo doesn't have one shot. Oh, he didn't even respond to that.
I didn't respond to that one, but yeah, I guess I would say that like Hanzo currently is pretty powerful right now.
Okay.
I think just because like it's more of like a. I think Hanzo's played a lot in like the higher ranked players' lobbies. But that could be just because Hanzo's playable again, but also like with the more consistent arrows, I'm not sure I feel about letting him one shot the higher HP tanks. But I'm not sure what Toasty thinks, and that's probably more important since he's the one that actually balances stuff. So I didn't really respond to that one. Yeah,
in the current balance, like I could envision an Overwatch where there was more one shots. And he could still one shot and it probably wouldn't be an issue. But in the current iteration where it's like there's a level of sustain to a lot of heroes, you're right. Being able to one shot squishies is good, but going over 240 in a headshot I think is probably a wee bit too much.
I can't. I'm either there about it. I mean, another thing about like people are complaining about like range damage and stuff, but I feel like once people get used to like either having a dedicated off tank to like counter that stuff, or like just playing better.
Yeah, just
as a team.
Yeah.
I didn't need to say it like that.
No, that's exactly how I would say it. Fuck it, people need to get better.
I don't know. Like I feel like once that happens, then like Hanzo will become much less powerful.
Okay.
Like if people are more keen on like blocking his damage.
Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like the finesse isn't there that there was by the end of Overwatch.
I know you made like a vote for like role balance, and everyone said DPS is strongest, but I just feel like that's because DPS.
Yeah, let's go talk about that.
DPS, yeah.
Let's go bring that up 1 second here. Did I skip by it? I did right here. Yeah, DPS.
I don't see it. How far out? Oh, it's really far out.
Yeah, I got it. Pull time. Which time do you think is strongest? Reactor loading, think is strongest. The tanks, the supports, of the DPS, and everybody thinks.
Oh, support is 5 and DPS is 15. Oh, shit.
I know. Yeah. Like what's going on there?
Like I do have the pretty like, I do think tank is much stronger than the other roles, but I did not expect people to think DPS is better than support.
Yeah, insane amounts.
Like there's still a lot of like Overwatch 2 examples of Overwatch 2 supports doing Overwatch 2 support things and just countering DPS. Like, I just think tanks and supports, like, I'm a tank player. We gotta learn to, like, deal with this shit with the DPS. Like, Reaper, Hanzo, all these flankers that, like, no one wants to actually counter.
Yeah.
Like, I know people come out with Sombra, too. Like,
that's
I don't
hilarious.
know. I think it's a skill issue. That's it.
It does feel like a skill issue. I will point out something, like, we have a lot of golds and plats in here now.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of, like, GM top 500s play DPS players, or DPS heroes. And when
Yes, that is very common.
when they do
I would
play,
say,
they fuck everybody up, right?
I know. And it kind of sucks, but, like, I don't know. I kind of hope that that's used the way people do, like, maybe, like, I really hope that, like, if we ever, like, decide to get more competitive, that gets fixed. Like, a lot of people try to improve at the newer format, like the 6v6 format.
Well, not to be too critical of a lot of people, but I will be. I actually I'll speak in this in a positive way. Okay, we'll speak this positively instead of a negative way.
Okay.
I believe that as a community, we can consistently foster good sportsmanship, and good sportsmanship is the solution to a lot of the issues that people have with the game right now. So there's a lot of, like, my team needs to do this. I think from a foundation, and maybe this is something that when I was younger. Now I'm going to get the kind of old man rant here a little bit. But when I was younger, I was a little bit more like, okay, the team needs to do this and all that kind of stuff. And yes, there's an aspect of, okay, if I get better, then I get better, right? But good sportsmanship is, like, not necessarily about working the most with your team. So if you say, hey, let's combo this, then someone has to be there to combo with you. But it's more of, like, an assessment of the environment and doing what you're capable of in that environment. And if the other person isn't responding to you in some kind of way, part of your skill is how you react to that lack of response. So when we're looking at things like a DPS player, I've been playing games with a bunch of, let's say, the gold players on our team, and sometimes even, like, the diamond players, it's fine. Or it doesn't matter the rank, actually, in some ways. It's kind of the personality. Let's say there's a enemy Genji, and they're absolutely fucking destroying us, right? There are layers of, like, okay, it's obviously this person's job, but they're not capable of doing it, right? So, you know, I could bug them and be annoyed that they can't do it, but let's, like, okay, who's the second person in order? Well, the second person's not doing their job either, right? And then the third person's not doing their job either. So I'm the fourth person, right? I have to then deal with it. It doesn't matter whether or not I want my teammates to set up and counter this Genji that's rolling our fucking team, right? I have to figure out a way to work around whatever's going on to then counter them. And it works in a way, but that's, like, a level of, like, sportsmanship that I think more people should embody. And then we wouldn't see DPS as, like, the highest talked about thing, right?
That sounds fair. I wouldn't, like, rank what is better and then go down that list.
Well, it's a simplification. I was pointing out.
That makes sense.
But, you know, if we have a, I don't know, if we have a Brig, it's like, well, why don't you whip shot the Genji, right? Okay, well, whatever. That's fine. He can't do it. He's struggling. That's fine. Okay, so there's Ana. Why Ana sleep the Genji? Oh, that's really hard to do. So, right, and so you can kind of just, like, get a perspective of it. And if everybody's failing along that chain, then what am I capable of doing as an individual?
All right,
yeah.
That is true, but, like, even if I think that in that situation, if everyone is using their resources to counter the Genji and then they aren't able to do it, and then you use your resources, then, like, even if you counter the Genji, you're still at a pretty major disadvantage.
You are, but it's more of, like, it's more of a way of stepping back to assess what is powerful and what isn't powerful, right? We've had people go, like, holy some games Cassidy's absolutely insane. He's just dominating absolutely everyone, right? But, and this is more of, like, how I would assess balance and how I look at the games and view the games. So let's say I'm getting messed up by the Cassidy. I'm going through that order of operations, right? And if everybody on my team is fucking up, it's not the Cassidy that's powerful, right? Like you can, it's not blaming the individuals on my team and going, this is why this is failing, and now you use your cooldowns on it, and then their team, because you use your cooldowns on him and not other, right? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes with it, but it's more of, like, a way to go, okay, is Hail on Sojourn actually really powerful, right? What's the difference, right? When we look at it, when we look at how he plays, when he makes a play, if someone could have shot him or slept him, right? But then he kills them instead, then I would blame it on the player. And then the hero is not actually that overpowered in that situation. But to wrap it and to bring it back into what we were talking about, that's why I think a lot of people right now are like, DPS are the issue, right? Because they fuck up, their teammate fucks up, the other teammate fucks up, and they're like, this hero is crazy powerful, I can't deal with it. Really, when what they should be doing is like, oh, I could actually be doing this, 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 and this to counter it. And wrapping it to what you said with tanks, so people just getting good and learning how to deal with things, that's a huge part of it, right? The tanks comboing can counter a lot of the things that people are saying is really powerful right now, but they're not min-maxing to that. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's the idea behind it.
All right.
Yeah,
I think you worded it a lot better, though it did take a lot longer.
It does take a lot longer. You know, I can get more detailed in it, but yeah. Try not to ramble too much. Trying to at least get some concise points out here. But yeah, it is very interesting. I'm not really sure. It's funny too. Nobody's talking too much about DPS changes.
Yeah. I mean, I did suggest for Honda specifically, like, maybe making it so that, like, you still one-shot, but, like, just spam damage is a little lower. But, I guess that would kind of mess people that want to be able to one-shot, like, more tanky DPS.
Could do it so he's got to draw the bow back further or hold it for longer.
That's not I think, like pretty much, like, the fully charged still, like the charge still I don't know. I didn't really think about how that interacts with touch mechanic. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, like, we could take a look, like, certain DPS, but, like, I think, like, Genji, for example, I don't think Genji needs to be nerfed.
Even though he's rolling lobbies right now, I don't think so either. I think
he's one of those characters that punishes, like, unoptimal teams.
Yes. And he just punishes lower elos quite a bit. There's no other way of putting it. Like, he really messes them up. Because they use their cooldowns and then it ends up reflecting back in their face most of the time. Or just throwing cooldowns around. Interesting. Okay. I do want to have a question though. While I'm thinking about this, what is the one character you think needs to be changed right now? Is there anything that's like overpowered, or is there anything that's like dead that you think is kind of out of the?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know if I can narrow it down. I mean, I probably would say Diva.
Yeah. Okay.
But he just put Diva back to a reasonable level. I do think 500 would have been fine, but also I'm not complaining about 525.
Okay.
Like for example, like for the 400 HP tanks, going back up is really bad. But for Diva already has enough health, so it's like I think that the 25 means much less to Diva. It's like I'm honestly fine with it, but I don't know. We'll see. I still think Diva was powerful even back at 500 with lower armor.
I actually
got punished harder for playing incorrectly.
Let's hold on Diva for a second. I want to point this out. And I'm seeing this watching replays and games back. Okay. 6v6. I think you could put Diva at 200 health and she'd be fine. Okay, and it's extreme, but
okay.
Hold on. Hear me out.
You're going to explain that.
I'm gonna explain that. I'm very much gonna explain that. Okay, people are massively underutilizing the defense matrix, and
that is very true.
They are doing it in such a way that either, there's one of two ways of playing it right now, and there's actually a third way, but very few people are utilizing it, and it's a Overwatch 1 Diva playstyle. So we'll get into that in a second. Okay.
Healing.
So
people don't do that.
Diva right now either sticks defense matrix over top of the tank and just eats all the frontline damage, right? So it could be, let's say, a Reinhardt. They stick it over the fucking Reinhardt and they eat all the damage and they just shoot from the front line. They just, and then whenever they see someone low, they boost in and they smash into them. That's fine. Okay. The other playstyle that's also being played right now is the main tank Diva, where they stand out front, They soak in a whole bunch of damage. They put defense matrix up for the big cooldowns. They put it down. They take splash damage, heal to splash damage, and put. Okay.
And then they disengage with boosters.
And they disengage with boosters. Exactly. Well, there's 2 playstyles. And it's basically the only 2 diva playstyles that we're seeing right now. The third playstyle, which Lemon has just mentioned, okay, is the purpose is you put the defense matrix around the weakest person on your team. All right? That is as high value as possible. So if you're doing something like a Genji and a Genji jumps in, the purpose of the diva is to hide the diva's mech in a spot and then put the defense matrix over, because it is infinite amounts of damage reduction and some healing reduction. It's infinite, right? So if you can position the diva mech in a safe spot and take no damage at all and have your DPS engage and then defense matrix that, you've done your job. You win the fight every single time, because good DPS will only engage in things that they can kill. They won't engage stuff that they can't kill. So make it so that they engage something they will kill for sure, make them survive a little bit longer, and then they win. There's no question about that. So Diva actually doesn't need any of the health pool that she's got. She only needs the health pool because of the way that Diva is being played at the moment. Thoughts?
All right. Well, yeah, it does make sense, but like Diva is very versatile. It's like how I would play. Like if I was going for a peel playstyle, I wouldn't play on the weak target. I'd play near the weak target.
So not on.
Like,
I meant that's what I just mean like around.
Yeah,
And,
okay, I'm trying to explain because like you play in a way where if the tank takes pressure, you can boost her to them, or if the backline takes pressure, you can boost to them. Because well, it is less important for Diva. Having the health is important because then you can because Diva does have like a combo to pressure out like a. Because Diva is good for peeling. Diva's also good for contesting like someone on the high ground, like a hit scan.
Okay.
And that
100% agree. When I say 200 health, I am memeing a little.
Yeah, I know you're memeing.
Okay, right? But
you're not gonna do it for experiments, right?
What if I gave
Sulack?
her... Hold on, no. Hear me. Actually, that would be so much fun. Think about an infinite defense matrix that she can flick on and off whenever she wants, and 200 health.
Oh.
What do you mean? What? Come on, we gotta try something like that. Okay.
You're welcome to do that, but I can't guarantee I'm gonna enjoy it.
Oh my god, dude. You have fun every time. Okay, don't even...
Okay, I had fun with manga. I got countered and I start complaining.
I know, but it's you gotta listen, okay? If you,
I think I'm too prone to complaining to enjoy that.
I know. Well, that's why you're the LemonHead, dude. You just you gotta look. Okay, everybody enjoys it. There's certain things and ways that I judge how much fun people have in these games. And one of them is like how much people are talking and like laughing and yeah, right? So you going, oh my fucking god, I can't kill him, somebody kill him, please. Like that's better than you sitting silent going, guys, kill him, please. Right? Like that is like it's a whole different type of entertainment. And even though I agree with you in some ways is it's like crazy and there's some stuff, I think it's a lot more fun, right? When things are like, yeah, you gotta work towards solving them.
I do understand putting more of the. I guess this is more experiments, but I do understand putting more of the power of the tank into the ability, so that they actually are more comparable to the other roles, like directly. Yeah. But also having them in the ability instead of their basic health pool makes them a lot more polarizing. So if they get countered, then it feels a lot worse.
I'd imagine so. Like
if someone blocks out me shooting someone to boop them away as manga, then I kind of feel like shit.
Yeah, it does.
Do we want to get back to the actual adjustments or? Yeah,
well, we want to talk about
Oh yeah, we're talking about Diva. Sure,
we're talking about Diva, but I made a point about Diva just to say
okay.
Right. One thing I want to really point out is having good thought experiments, or even just not even having experiments, but good thought experiments to decide where the level of a certain tank or ability lies in the game. If you take that ability and you put it to its extreme, then what does it do, and what impact do you have by changing that number, right? So imagine if we took defense matrix, made it half a second, and then gave Diva 2,000 health, right? What does that
Yeah,
solve?
that makes it so that like you lose the skill expression and you don't die.
Exactly, but like, but what like, and I'm not asking. It's more of a rhetorical question, something for you to for people to think about and build off of. But it's like, what would that do to your playstyle then, right? Well, how would you change up the way that you move around the game, and is that a way that you would like your hero to be played? So for
So
let's,
it would,
yeah,
I guess, it would force all the main tank to play style. Holy shit, that hurts. I don't know. Like you're forced to like play like a Winston, like you go after a target because you can't peel anymore.
and it would
That
be
that,
like,
that hurts.
yeah, and then you'd take a bunch of damage. Your goal would be to block the biggest burst damage possible with your defense matrix.
I guess that would be interesting in itself. Like kind of like I guess Doomblock doesn't like counter damage.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't counter like cooldowns, but I guess it's like kind of like that, but also not really. I don't know. I guess like if a tank had like was meant to be like a main tank role and then also had like an ability to like force a cooldown. Isn't that like Monkey though? You got the shield to counter like
yeah,
yeah,
very much
like, yeah.
overlaps, right? Like,
A lot of overlap that kind of takes away from the playstyle.
of course. Well, but then
Like,
is the question is then I want to point out just all arises is that a new hero, right? Like
mm,
once you adjust those, once you tune those variables enough, let's say you have the diva with 1,000 health with a half a second defense matrix, and then you have a diva with 200 health with 5 second defense matrix, right? Like, are those two different heroes? They could be, right? There's an idea.
yeah, but just with how versatile Diva's meant to do like peel and contest stuff depending on what you think is best to do as Diva.
What if we change? So actually, like,
And,
I had this in experiments. I'm more curious. I don't like this fun topic. I like diva as a structure. Think in experiments, what I did a while ago and I removed it is diva had a 1 second booster and a 3 second cooldown on it.
okay.
So you would boost, set up, shoot, boost, set up, shoot. You couldn't do the whole big loopy bullshit that divas used to, that you're used to doing. But it was an interesting direction, like, and possibly maybe I'll point out that's a direction, like, or a potential direction for balancing. And relating this back to what you said about how you think Toasty balances stuff, like you can add buffs to the hero that buff playstyles that add more value, right? Or you can just make a general buff, and
Yeah,
I think
I feel like that's a lot what Toasty does, just general buffs instead of specific ones to change things. Unless there's something really apparent.
where
Like, yeah.
from a designer perspective that you can see that's where Blizzard went completely, right?
Yes.
They went in the entire general buff direction to refine the game. Yeah. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
Yes.
Sure, I don't want to interrupt that.
No, I was kind of premature. Continue.
Okay. Like, I really think it's good, even if sometimes it's trivial and stupid, to like mental model all possible balances of a hero, right? All variations of what the hero could be, and then make decisions on where the hero should go from there. It's not really a statement for you for you to work with anything, but I believe that is like the way that we should be going, and I think we're actually really good at doing it. Like in a way, getting better at it in some spaces. But
one more thing I want to say about I guess Diva is that like Diva is a great example of a do-it-all tank.
okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I guess might as well like you have to choose between like for example like a lot of the newer tanks. I guess I'll use Sig as an example. Like when Sig came out, there was a lot of shit about like is he a main tank or an off tank and stuff like that. Just because like how strong his cooldowns were. Like I feel like I feel like Diva's like do it all thing. Like you kind of peel, kind of like hold angles. I really like that because like it's about the player choosing what they want to do.
Okay.
And then getting punished if they do it incorrectly or like do the wrong thing. Like if you go in on a hit scan, then your backline gets dove.
So
Something like that.
question, and maybe this is more philosophical about the hero. Do you think it's better for a hero to have an individual playstyle, and then even if the playstyle is all of the things, there's like steps that you should do stuff, or do you think a hero should be able to like generally work with everything? Like, so for example, there's Sigma, right? That has you can kind of like generally deal with everything in an okay way, and then there's a character like Tracer, which has a very refined way of dealing with certain problems and can only like address them one thing at a time in that way. Like, what kind of playstyle do you prefer, and in Diva specifically, and like where do you think she should be in that?
All right.
Does that make sense? Like, sorry, I'm not sure if that made
That is a big question. I gotta think. All right. Can you like do like a shorter version of that question?
Okay. Do you think a character should have a lot of options with dealing things, but very low impact in those individual options? Or do you think that a hero should have a specific directive and high impact if that directive is done perfectly?
All right. All right. So
And one more question to add to after that, when you're done with Diva specifically, where do you think Diva should lie in that setup?
all right. Okay. So I think like both characters that focus on one thing and multiple things both work. What's more important is the impact itself.
Okay.
Like I guess I guess the characters do one thing that's simple enough. Like that one thing needs to be powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But like the thing about like having like a tank that does it all is that like they need to execute like I guess Diva, for example, go back to Diva, like you need to like choose between the two things because you can't do both at the same time. Like I feel like
Okay.
like you are good at both like peeling and like attacking something, but because because the positioning is so important due to your lack of range with the DM, like it's a very low range DM.
Yep.
And the boost, it is a lot of mobility, but it's not enough to do both at the same time. So like I don't think like the actual value of the ability is any lower than like a tank that's purely on peeling or purely on like attacking.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think it's more sort of like you have to choose.
So is Diva much like? Do we feel like Diva should be a limited range hero that has a repositioning? Like, I guess the way to think of her kind of abstractly is that she's a zone that can reposition in between areas really quickly, but can only be in that one space or in another space, right? That's a big simplification of it. But with the spaces that she's in, you're saying she should have really high impact inside that zone.
Yes, because you need to commit to that play, so you should have a high enough impact.
You should
and like characters with a lower impact, I don't know. I kind of, and I guess Sigma's a bit. I don't know. Like Sig does have high impact moments with like if you can one shot, for example.
Yeah.
But like I like what we did like in adjustments where he's less tanky, but he like the one shot is back to being a proper one shot with the rock.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel that kind of helps Sig have the strength and weakness he needs to like be focused as a puck tank.
Then
okay. We're talking about Diva, right? Shit.
Well, no. I that's that to me that makes sense. Well, in the abstract world, you would say that like no hero is limited to its own kind of understanding.
Yes.
You know
and
what I mean?
Like what you want out of here is like having a low impact, consistent character is, or even like it's like if your impact is low, then it feels like shit to play with and against.
Well,
because like if it's a consistent impact, it's annoying because you can't play around it. And if it's low impact in general, then it's less fun to use.
then question: what is Lucio in that? Because I would say Lucio is a low impact character that has consistent value throughout everything. Right? He's just like.
All right, I guess at base, but I would say that like amp it up is a way to change that, and also Lucio does have other options.
Changes the momentum a little bit, but I guess so. He does have some
amp
kind
it
of.
up can win a fight. You push him, amp it up, and then you.
Yeah,
like,
but
the speed is really powerful though. Like the heal is weak on even on amp, but that's kind of like Lucio's weakness.
But amp is more of just like press the button, then things happen. It's not like
But like you can feel the impact of your team rushing in and killing everyone.
in a way.
Like, if I don't know, I think it's kind of impactful. Like also with Lucio, like you have other options that like if you don't like playing like that, like if you want to be like a Reddit Lucio and like dive a fucking hit scan, or like you go behind, like you play for wall riding and you go to high and you play for like force built position. There's other ways to get high. Like if you don't feel like the amp is a high enough impact, there's other things Lucio can do to get higher like spikes of impacts.
higher impact, but I think on like on
Like
the
that's why
scale.
people like shit like Reddit Lucio. But also on top of that, you could like force a tank out of position or force someone out of position to get them picked. So like it's similar to amp. Like you want to use speed to like isolate, like to rush on a target that's isolated, and like you can get that similar feeling also from booping people or getting a pick.
In
So
a
there are,
in a way, yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm not saying I disagree with that.
yeah.
I think he's scaled more towards like the low
He's
impact.
consistent at base, but I feel like he does still
Just some
have
high.
like the option for high impact plays.
Okay, okay. Because like Widow would be the ultimate high impact. Like that's like
That
the
is
that is on the exact end of the highest impact you could possibly have, right?
yes, I would say that.
I feel Overwatch is at its healthiest when it's got both,
Yeah,
right?
because but generally, like Lucio does. I would say that like the spikes, like for example, like the spikes are lower on Lucio because of the consistency that already exists.
Yeah.
And like that's fine, but like you can't go too far into the low impact but consistent, because then you have like characters that don't interact with the game and just don't get punished either.
Then you just have increased health pools.
They just have Orisa. Just have Orisa at that
Yeah,
point.
it's just health pools and damage reduction, and that's it. Yeah, actually,
That's what Orisa is. Like
Yeah.
you usually can't actually kill anything. I guess maybe like Orisa kind of didn't lose the damage fall off, which kind of changes that.
yeah.
Like it is a lot. Like if there's any sort of heal on that target, they're not gonna die. So like Orisa doesn't really like do anything but counter whatever someone else does, and then doesn't actually gain anything from it. You just sort of stop them from playing the game, but you don't do anything either.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that does. I like. It feels like kind of. I guess like Brig too is a low impact character, but I guess Lucio is less hated because
I might as well throw this out there. Like I did want to like try to like this is low priority because like there's other stuff we gotta do right now, but
Yeah.
I did just toast to like reworking Orisa a bit to like I guess lower the fortified duration to make it more like blocking a cooldown, and then having the main thing be the spear spin. I guess I do want to explain that.
interesting. Yeah. Give me some more. What's the
like pretty much if fortify is weaker and you have to focus on the spear spin, then you have to choose between it being like used to block damage or force like the other tank out of position. It makes that interaction more impactful because with the weaker fortify, you're easier to punish if you don't have spear spin. So like it's a big play to play around the other tank and force them out of position, like boop them in your team or boop them away, because you're easier to punish after the fact.
Do you? I'm just curious of your opinion on this. I'm sorry. 1 second. I'm just moving windows around. And this is again more of an extreme. It's not an exact thing, but like, what would be your thought? Let's say a 1 second fortify, and like a 4 second cooldown on it.
Okay. I 1 sec. I guess I'd probably go for like 1.5 to 2 seconds on what I'd want to do, but I don't know if that it makes like if I was with the rework Orisa, I wouldn't lower the cooldown that much because it's about the uptime, not the. It's not about how long the ability lasts, but the general uptime. If you lower the cooldown, then the uptime's higher.
In a way, I think
yeah.
So just to add more context too, because you might understand. I like the idea of this game being more like a fighting game, right? Where a cooldown is not just like a press the thing and then wait 30 seconds and then you get a new cooldown eventually, right? I like the idea of attack, block, counterattack, push, block, counterattack, block, push, attack, right? Like a heavy cycle of a back and forth setup. I like Arissa feels like she's on the way to it for me, but not every button is like a hard commit, and I'm okay with commits. I like some commit abilities. That's totally fine, and as exists, but making Arissa a little bit more of one of those characters that sits along the fighting, where every single block is incredibly low impact individually, but you give more individual uptimes of that instance. You know what I mean?
All right. I would say like if that was the kind of change you want to make to fortify, like that would be reworking Arista to focus on the fortify over the spear.
Well,
over, like,
you could do it with
like,
all of it. With the spear too, we could do it with like you bring down the impact of the individual abilities completely, but you allow her to have consistent, like, quick little uptimes of it. So in the middle of the fight, she has to fortify one specific ability, and that can only damage reduce that one specific ability for a second, and then she can only, spear spin for like a second to eat some other type of damage, right? So it's like, obviously she's got to use it for some laser abilities, fortify her laser, and the spear spin for whatever like projectile cooldowns coming out, and then her spear, it doesn't do anything for damage, but it has a quick stun, and so you can stun somebody and run away, unless you have this very fast-paced cycle of cooldowns. Yeah,
like what I would think for like I don't know. I was thinking about this like maybe like
how's it going,
fortify.
Dostray? Yeah, we're looking
If I would
over
change fortify, like instead of just
philosophy
straight up
and
lowering the
balance changes and
duration,
stuff.
I would add a mechanic where I'd bring back the overhealth mechanic,
All right.
but then make it so like a way to have them interact with the Orisa abilities. If they really want to burst the Orisa down, then they could just like I can make it once the overhealth is dissipated, the ability ends. Like it's more like a Zarya bubble in the
Like,
way you interact with it.
but is that would that be a positive direction, do you think? Right? Like,
I think that'd be a positive direction because like I'd probably make it so like I'd still make it so it overall like ends up blocking less because it like if you connect it to overhealth, then there's like a set amount of damage you can block for the ability.
okay.
So like I feel like if it's like when Zarya bubbles herself and you don't want her to do increased damage, but if the Zarya's in bad position, you just full on break and then just kill the Zarya.
Yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyways, that's the way I want to point out too that when we consider balance, we should talk about balance theory and talk about how heroes to be changed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit.
One thing I will say is that like I'm not really able to do much. We got a lot of stuff to work on, like other stuff. So reworks are not on the horizon.
That's not. Yeah, that's not what I'm not. It's not what I'm going over. I'm
not. Sorry, I was gonna like mention that like because like there's a lot of characters I want to like do some sort of changes to, but also it's like leave them on the back burner because there's others. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
In time. No. That's. I agree. We're on the same page here. We're totally on the same page.